In an alternate universe where Peter Parker never became Spider-Man, chaos reigns and a new hero must rise in a city shattered by dark secrets and even deadlier new crazy-ass enemies. Welcome back to Keepin the Comic, and today we're going to be covering the first 3 issues of Ultimate Spider-Man. In another video here, we're going to be covering issues 4 through 6, and then next week, when issue number 7 comes out, we're going to be going over that one as well. So in this Ultimate Universe, Peter Parker is not Spider-Man yet. The Maker prevented the radioactive spider from biting him 20 years ago. Now, Peter Parker is currently married to Mary Jane, who recently just started her own marketing firm as well, a PR firm. They have 2 kids, right? Richard Parker and May Parker. Peter Parker still works for the Daily Bugle as a photojournalist alongside Jonah Jameson and managing editor Ben Parker. Yes, Uncle Ben is alive in this world. Unfortunately, though, Aunt May is not. Back in Ultimate Universe, in the comic Ultimate Universe, after Tony Stark found out that the Maker had prevented the creation of superheroes and created the Maker's Council to run the world from the shadows, and then after the Maker was trapped in a dome, Tony Stark tried to undo what the Maker had done. So the Maker's Council blew up Stark/Stain Tower in an attempt to kill Tony, and it resulted in killing thousands of people. Amongst those people were Aunt May, Norman Osborn, and Emily Osborn, Harry Osborn's parents. Now, Tony and the crew, they were able to escape 6 months into the future, which no one knows except for maybe a few people. But unfortunately, Tony Stark was framed as the one who did the attack, which is why at this memorial for the people in New York, the priest mentioned Tony Stark's name. By the way, that priest is Father Murdoch. That's right, Matt Murdock, which the irony of that is just funny to me. Now, Ben and Peter also attended this memorial as well, which Ben is still having a very hard time as expecting getting over Aunt May's passing. We also see Harry Osborn take the podium, and he gives a speech recalling memories, and then lastly says something that's really interesting here that kind of gives you some insight into the future. I hear a ball hitting a glove. I hear screams and sirens. I hear all of us crying out in pain because of a part of our future was stolen. And in exchange, all we got were memories. It's just not enough. And I'm not sure any of us should be expected to live with it, right? So keep it in mind. Now, the owner of the Bugle is Wilson Fisk. Jonah and Ben have been covering stories on the massive attack that happened that they believe was done by Tony Stark. Now, Fisk doesn't want them to do that anymore because Fisk, if you can't tell, answers to the Maker's Council and technically directly to Captain Britain, who oversees this region of the world. And the more that they keep looking into a story like that, then the more information that they're going to find out, the more truth is potentially there for them to find out. So Fisk is forcing them to change what they cover, and he does this more than once to like another particular story that we'll talk about a little bit later on. So this causes Jonah to quit the Bugle, and Ben, being really good friends with Jonah and also being frustrated at the request to no longer cover these stories, decides to leave the Bugle as well. Now, something really interesting happens here. When Fisk and Lester, they get out of their car after this meeting later on, we see their car blow up, only to see hovering over the massive explosion, the Green Goblin. So I'm like, bruh, Norman is dead. So the question is, who is that in the green suit? Stay tuned, you'll find out. So now that Jonah and Ben are no longer at the Bugle, they start to make a plan to start their own news reporting company. Now, Ben starts talking to Peter about how he would like for him to join, but he understands if he chooses to say no. So Peter starts talking about how it would be tough for him to do that now due to his family and his responsibilities. But the real issue here for Peter is just how unfulfilled he feels in his entire life right now. He mentions how for the longest time, he feels that there's been something that is wrong with his life, that there's been something that has been wrong with him, period. Something is missing for him, and he finally believes that he knows what that is. Like his life was supposed to be something different. So Ben encourages him and tells him that if you've been asleep basically throughout your whole life, then son, it is time for you to wake up. So Peter goes home and he sits and has a talk with his wife, right, MJ. He lets her know that he needs a change, but that she shouldn't be alarmed by it. So MJ asks, as long as we're good, then I support you. Go get him, Tiger. Now, the reason why Peter has been feeling this way is because the night before, Peter had received this orb. Well, to be fair, Tony Stark calls it an origin box, so I'll call it an origin box. So when Tony and the crew had escaped into the future, in an attempt to reverse what the Maker had done, they created these origin boxes, is what they call them, that they set back in time 6 months prior to. Now, these boxes are to tell the heroes that what they were supposed to be, right? That they were supposed to be heroes, why they are not heroes, what the Maker had did, and then help them to become the heroes that they were supposed to be in this time frame. So Peter had seen or had sent this or seen this from the night before, and he saw the recording from Tony Stark, who had explained to him that he was supposed to have a different life. So this has been plaguing him pretty much basically throughout the entirety of the day, and why he wants more. And with the inspiration that he received from Ben, also what he got from Mary Jane, he's like, you know what? I am ready to take the plunge. So he takes the spider from the vial, he allows it to bite him, and then he puts on the black suit. Now, I know, hold your horses here. It's not that type of black suit, but I gotta say, Hickman definitely did this on purpose because he knew that it would trigger us just a little bit here. So now Peter is loving his newfound life, as we can call it, this newfound strength that he has, this newfound agility, the awareness within tight spaces, the fact that he can eat 10,000 calories a day and gain no weight. Must be nice, Peter. But the one thing that this man cannot figure out is how he can stop properly. Like, seriously, this dude crashes into like a water tank. The crap is wild. So Mary Jane, right? She started to realize some changes and compliments him on his physique. Hey, you've been working out? She asks a question, to which this guy replies, only a little. Listen, when she starts to realize, you know you're doing something right? Now, although Jonah and Ben don't have a location yet or even a name for their new business, they have been paying attention to some noise that's been going on, one of which is, of course, what's going on with the Green Goblin. So it seems like Wilson Fisk has actually been Wilson Fisk has been attacked more frequently a couple times at different locations here, which, of course, the Daily Bugle has been conveniently leaving out of their reporting. However, the Bugle has been all over this new guy in a black suit, swinging around and all that stuff. Of course, the photos are courtesy of our very own Peter Parker. Now, Fisk thinks that this is the right way to go because this is a distraction to keep it away from what's going on between him and the Green Goblin that keeps on attacking him at these different locations. Now, on the other hand, Captain Britain steps in. Remember, he's a part of the Maker's Council and is ultimately overseeing what Fisk is doing. He is not thrilled with any of it. He would prefer that none of this information is covered. Nothing about the black suit Spider-Man, nothing about the Green Goblin. And Fisk is trying to explain to him, he's like, listen, they don't know enough about what's going on with the Green Goblin, so we don't really want to act as of yet on that story. And the Spider story, like, that kind of just serves and keeps things away from what's going on with Green Goblin, to which Britain reminds him, like, listen, as it pertains to Green Goblin, I have given you resources to take care of these issues. You should go ahead and take care of the issue with the resources that you have, which we'll see a little bit later on. As it pertains to the distraction, Peter Parker, he finally gets his shot at taking down a villain, although it doesn't really work out very well for my man, right? So he catches this guy, right, trying to rob a bank on top of the roof. So he starts off with some like playful Peter Parker humor that we love, right? Let me guess, you lost your keys or you accidentally got locked in the roof. He also tells him that he's supposed to be stopping guys like him. So then the robber politely asks, you ever done anything like this before? To which Peter Parker responds, nope, first time. So the robber tries to say, well, damn, you got me. You know, I know what I was doing was wrong. Thank you for stopping me. I appreciate you, my guy. And then he like reaches out to try to like give him a handshake, give Peter Parker a handshake. I'm like, Peter, what is wrong with you? You're actually believing this dude? Like, major sigh, bro. Major sigh on this one. So the bad guy, he reaches out, shakes his head, and then shocks him. And he's like, yo, you can call me the Shocker, which then lands Peter Parker in the trash. And if you thought that was bad enough, right? So Peter goes home that night with his suit still on. Why would you go home with the suit still on? He grabs a bucket of ice cream and then sits on the couch. But then May Parker comes out of the room and she is crying because earlier she had mentioned the whole black suit thing. He was like, yo, that's scary to her, right? So the fact that the black suit is now sitting in the living room, she's even more terrified of what's going on there. So then he drops the mask. He's like, no, Peter, it's me. No, May, it's me. It's Dad. Don't worry. Like, you're okay. And then he tries to bribe her with ice cream. He's like, listen, don't tell anyone. Please, can you not tell anyone? Yeah, so he bribes her with some ice cream here. Listen, ain't nothing like some ice cream to cure some quarrels, right? So on the next time when Peter goes to meet the Shocker, you would think that it would turn out a little bit better, right? Well, wrong. In fairness though, this time Peter does take the fight to him a little bit. Like he starts webbing him up a little bit, which kind of shocks the Shocker. He's like, yo, what the heck? Yo, who are you, bro? So then Peter kicks him in the gut, and he actually kicks him really hard because the dude was like, cough, cough, like, I think you broke my ribs, right? So this is kind of one of those things where it's like Peter doesn't really know his own actual strength yet. He's very new, very immature as a Spider-Man. So I kind of like that they're showing this. So he didn't just come out of the gate and then all of a sudden like just start whooping ass. You know, like it's kind of more realistic to see this kind of happening, right? So I kind of like it from that perspective. So then like the Shocker starts to plead with him again. He's like, no, my wife, she's dying. We need the money. So then Peter, this dude falls for it again. And then the dude like blasts him off the roof. And once again, this dude falls into the dumpster. Like just the irony of this every single time. Him keep on falling to the dumpster. But this time though, there was an eyewitness that was there. Our mystery vigilante, the Green Goblin, was seeing what was going on. But at least this time though, when Peter gets home, he gets a nice little note from his daughter that says, I drew a picture of your spider. Hope you like it. You're the best. Love, May. I really love the interaction between Peter Parker and his kids in this entire series so far. It's been pretty top tier. Now, as we fast forward like a month later here, Spider-Man is about to head out for his first stakeout, but not until he gets a little bit of a visual upgrade with some assistance, by the way, from his daughter, May. So now we get to, he goes to like a couple of different suits. There's like the blue suit, there's like the little orange one. I liked all of these suits. I thought they were pretty good. May was kind of hating. She was like, none of them look cool, daddy, or whatever. And I was like, man, May, stop talking. These suits look pretty good. But we finally get to see him in a nice little traditional old school suit, and that looks pretty good. Now, before the stakeout, Peter, he visits Ben and Jonah in their new location, which needs some finishing touches to say the least, right? He sees a clue board that they've been working on that has pictures of Fisk. He also sees Green Goblin on there as well. And then some of these highlighted locations throughout New York, which represent the locations that Green Goblin has hit, because it's, you know, he's definitely been hitting more than just the 3 that we talked about earlier. He's been hitting a lot more locations. So they're kind of trying to figure out, like, what is Green Goblin doing? Is Goblin a bad guy or a good guy? There's more questions than there are answers. So this leads Peter Parker, Spider-Man, to, you know, doing a stakeout. Personally, by the way, I'm a little bit jealous of the stakeout that Peter Parker got going on right now. He got a nice little spider hammock going on. He got some donuts there. There's some pigeons. Actually, I'll pass on the pigeons, but 2 days of this stakeout here, and then we finally get some action, man. So Green Goblin is chasing down this ninja looking dude, which we quickly see later on is Bullseye. So Bullseye throws one of his cards, which hits one of Green Goblin's bombs, which then blows him up and then causes him to like crash on top of some rubble here. He throws a few more that start to like short circuit Green Goblin's suit itself. Right before that, though, he mentions that he doesn't work for Fisk, but that he works for the masters of the world. And later on, I'll give this one away. Later on, and when we cover in the next video that we cover, you'll see that he actually works for Captain Britain specifically. So we'll talk about that a little bit later on. Now, before he can throw another card here, Spider-Man catches his hand with his webs, and we see a nice little sign in the background here that says Fisk Construction, just to confirm that this stakeout that they were doing, or that Spider-Man was doing, was at another Fisk location, right? And that's where Green Goblin was targeted. So Bullseye throws some of the cards past Spidey, which ends up landing on some of the cranes and then knocking them down, which then have the cranes fall directly on top of Spider-Man. Now, because Bullseye was focused on mocking Spidey, Goblin was able to fire a beam that hits him in the back, but then once again, Bullseye gets some more cards out directly at Goblin's suit, and that kind of short-circuited again. Now, as Bullseye stands over him, his guard is down, giving Spider-Man enough time to be able to come in and punch him full force, which knocks him out. So then Goblin ties him up and throws him on a glider and then sends him off to a place that we don't nowhere, right? So then Goblin shifts his conversation to Spider-Man. He's like, so this is where things kind of get interesting. Like, watch this right here. So Goblin says that that's an interesting suit. Some may call it cool. To which Spider-Man says, well, that's because it is cool. Then Goblin says, well, some would call it proprietary. So then Goblin starts to pair with the suit, which then shocks the crap out of Peter. And then it starts to deactivate the suit. And Peter's like, no, don't deactivate, don't deactivate, don't deactivate. It takes off Peter's mask. And then Goblin drops his mask off as well and says, hi, I'm Harry. Peter then says, I'm Peter, right? And then Goblin states, well, Peter, I don't know if you know this about this world as of yet, but this world is a dangerous place lately. Do you want to get a drink? To which Spider-Man, of course, says, yeah, sure, why not? And I'm telling you, the next 3 issues are just as entertaining. We're going to get this one out in the next day or 2 here. Pick that up. It's the story. Like I said, the story is really good. Like and subscribe for more here on the channel. Join our Discord, guys, and let me know what you think about this story so far. And as always, thank you so much for kicking it with Keepin the Comic.